Greetings and welcome to the inaugural Run Rehab Guys shoe reviews. My name is Justin Helbing. I will be reviewing today the Topo Athletic ST3. Just a little bit of background if you haven't read one of my reviews before through RunRepeat.com, or if you haven't yet subscribed to the RunRepeat.com shoe review channel, now would be a wonderful time to do any of that. Some background information on myself. I am a physical therapist assistant. I work for Select Physical Therapy in the state of Iowa. I specialize in rehabbing athletes, specifically endurance athletes and runners. I used to be a high school runner and actually was a D3 cross-country and track athlete as well. I've run races all the way from about a half mile's distance all the way up to a full marathon, which is my preferred distance at this point. In fact, I have one coming up this fall. And this shoe has actually started to help me train a little bit for my marathon distance. It's run a few 5Ks with me, and it's done a few 8 and 10 mile training pace runs as well. The thing that I usually do is I take you really from top to bottom with the shoe in my reviews, or try to as best I can. If you have any questions at all or thoughts, feel free to comment. But as we go through, the first thing that I really notice about this shoe that I really love is the fact that it is very light. ST actually stands for Speed Trainer, and this particular shoe sits at about 7.3 ounces per shoe for a men's size 9. I'm a little bit larger than that at a 10.5, so it's probably just weighing in at a little bit under or over 8 ounces. In terms of the fit of the shoe, it is really a wonderful fit. Just as I kind of work my way into the shoe and as I slide it on. Most shoes have tended to size up recently just because my foot seems to be growing to a certain extent. And I've gone to somewhere between about a 10.5 and 11, even though I only measure at about a 10. But if I give myself the thumb test, just very interestingly enough, as I stand, I've got a great amount of room, at least a thumbnail's length, if not more. And I've got a lot of room really throughout the toe box, which is one of Topo's really hallmark pieces, is that they like to give you a nice, good, firm grip at the heel, a nice, firm fit over the top of the midfoot of the shoe, but they like to allow you to have that roomy toe box so that you have the ability for natural toe splay as you work through your gait cycle and as you step through and over that toe and ball of the foot. The shoe itself has a very nice heel in this particular aspect, because it does have a very flexible heel area. There's no real heel counter to the shoe. The fabric is just kind of a very interesting neoprene with a kind of stitched in layer that we'll discuss a little bit later. The reason that they did this, according to their website, is that they do like the shoe to be portable. They like it to be a very travel friendly shoe. If you push in and you kind of roll over top of the fabric, it's very easy to set this shoe just flat in your suitcase. The other thing that's very easy to do is I could roll this shoe up and probably put it in my pocket very easily. If you tend to like your shoes to have a decent amount of stability, or you like your shoes to have a little bit more of a firm base, this may not be quite the shoe for you, but for me it is fantastic because it allows for that amount of flexibility. And also for me, in terms of being a guy that's on the go most days and doing my workouts over my lunch, it's very easy to throw these shoes in a bag, especially one that's rather tiny, and take it with me as I go. The shoe itself, in terms of the rest of the upper, is relatively new this particular time around. So instead of going with an engineered mesh, or instead of going with a more traditional upper of the shoe, it's a very woven and very gentle fabric that goes through the midfoot and into the toe box, which allows for a bit more of that openness, a bit more of that feel to the shoe. And there are very little overlays. You've got a little bit of what appears to be some TPU along the outside for the logo of Topo, and then also just a very thin layer that is welded to the shoe with a little bit of some stitching reinforced mainly along the lacing system to prevent breakdown. And something very interesting is the fact that you have these little fold-away flex points at the base of the forefoot of the shoe. I would imagine because the shoe is also designed not only to be a speed trainer, but also to be a gym shoe, which gives you the ability to work your way through crouching, which I do really on a daily basis when I'm demonstrating exercises in the clinic, but also working your way through doing, for example, the beach body workouts that I do, such as P90X3, or doing like a CrossFit workout, where you need a shoe to have a bit of responsiveness, but don't want the shoe to really blow out along either side of your foot. If you take a look at the base of the shoe, the midsole is very thin, as I said before. It's a 16 millimeter midsole, or about 1.5 centimeters is really all the cushioning that you get out of the shoe. But with that little cushioning, it's really pretty impressive for the amount that it gives you in terms of the feel. It doesn't feel firm or feel like you're running over something of a stiff nature. To give it a comparison, I would say probably the best shoe to compare to would be the Escalante, or even probably better, the Escalante Racer now that has a lower profile to its midsole. It does tend to give you, in that respect, something a little bit less than responsive, however, if you're looking to use it for a racing shoe. I've used this shoe in a couple of 5Ks now, actually one that I just won this past Saturday. And it does give you a good amount of cush, but along with that cush, you don't get quite that firm springiness in the shoe, despite the fact that you get a really nice toe spring out of the shoe, as you can tell as I work your way back and forth into the shoe. The nice thing I also like about it, for those of you that enjoy minimal running, for example, I also am a certified pose running technique specialist. This shoe will allow you to have a zero drop platform, and that's something that I find very valuable in this particular shoe, especially as a go fast shoe. Altra tends to do a lot of their shoes that have a thicker midsole to it. For example, your Torrens, your Provisions, and things of that nature. But this shoe gives you a little bit more of that go fast nature, gives you a little bit more of that zero drop. So if you're looking to have a natural feel and still be fast and still be working your way through, it's a great shoe and a great feature. In terms of the base of the shoe, if you're looking at the outsole, it really gives you exactly what you need. Don't. So you've got a decent amount of rubber overlays with some nice flex grooves that allow you, again, that freedom of movement as you work your way through the gait cycle. I tend to be a bit more up on my toes when I run and a bit more on the midfoot, so you can see a few wear patterns from me that are a little bit atypical. But for most people, this is going to cover you very similar to what a Kinvara will, in the fact that it gives you the ability to have some wear point protection without a whole lot of extra heft and weight from that rubber. In terms of the inside of the shoe, it's a really wonderful shoe in terms of feel. You've got the mesh overlays on the insole. You've got a very velvety material along the inside of the heel to prevent friction. And the interesting part that you'll see when you take out the insole is that drainage ports that actually allow for some of your sweat to work their way down and out of the shoe and allowed to be released by some of the moisture wicking system. One thing I really wish that they would give me in another shoe, especially in the next model up, is if they could make those drainage ports go all the way through the base of the shoe, very similar to a Noosa. It would be wonderful to have. The only downside I've seen to the shoe in general, in terms of its overall construction, is that after I've done some cross training and some speed training in the shoe, you can see on the inside this fabric is not a single piece. It's actually stitched in to the outside of the heel counter, and it's starting to pull away a little bit from the shoe. And I noticed this mainly from the moisture buildup that has come over the course of the lifetime of the shoe. I've only been running it for about 65, 70 miles, and I really wish that for a shoe that was MSRP'd at $100, that it might be a bit more durable in this respect. In general, if you're looking for a shoe that's going to go fast, if you're looking for a shoe that is going to give you the most out of your ride when you're racing or at the gym, I'd say it's definitely worth a look. Again, if you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to give me a comment and give me a like. Otherwise, happy to help and see you on the roads.